You got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a special draft day edition of the Only Friends podcast.
It's the penultimate.
That is correct. It is the
It
penultimate.
is the penultimate.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
They say I'm the big word guy.
Hey, you know, I throw one out every once in a while.
The only reason I know that word is because when you long jump, the step right before you jump is very important, and that's how
They
I
call
know
it
it's
the
called
penultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck would you know about long jumping?
Oh, nothing. You know, just out there making up stories.
Berk,
Yeah.
our friends are fleeing. We're down to just us. My only friend.
I knew it would go this way. I knew you and Guapo were the ride or dies.
That's it, man.
In
You
this
got
whole
us. You got us
operation.
to the bitter end.
God damn it! Thank God.
Nice shirt.
Yeah, thank you. Draft day special. We still don't have TJ locked up, which is terrifying. But
Can I ask which
He'll be
draft?
back.
Is this baseball or football?
football. Come on, it's baseball's in season.
Oh, I didn't know when they
Did
do
you
the
not
draft.
know if that was a baseball or football shirt?
No, that I had. That I knew, but you know,
Very fair.
jersey doesn't, tell me much.
No.
No,
I'm just happy that I'm finding covert reasons to wear like a
Pittsburgh
jersey.
stuff?
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear Pittsburgh stuff till the end of the season. And then today I was looking through my closet. I was like, am I really gonna wear like a Sidney Crosby jersey today? Am I really gonna? Oh, actually, yeah, I am gonna wear a TJ Watt jersey because it's fucking draft day,
Let's
baby.
go.
Are you guys in the playoffs? No, I'm serious. Are the Pens in the playoffs?
No. Oh, I didn't know that's what you were referencing.
I assume that's what he meant.
I did
The
not.
Pens did not make it. They're down bad the last few years.
I
They'll be
did.
back.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see.
They're the Ethereum of hockey, if you will.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
We will have another friend joining us later on in the show near the top of the hour. One Andrew Barber is going to be calling in.
Right.
Jesse's still sick. We're hopeful that he's going to be here for the final show tomorrow, which we have a lot lined up for tomorrow. We're going to be joined in studio by hopefully Jesse, by definitely Nikki Limo. Definitely we're going to be joined by Mike Holtz. And then we're going to be working on a bunch of calling guests as well. So it's going to be a very long episode tomorrow. The plan is to
Settle in, get your popcorn.
Yeah, it's just
Sure you take bathroom breaks.
we're gonna get every friend that we've ever had. You know, Jace might make a random call
Please.
if all goes well.
Oh,
But yeah, basically tomorrow's for you guys. It's gonna be showing up and showing out for the audience, giving you guys one last episode. To go
Adam
out
22
and
is even coming back.
might come back. Who knows?
That's not true.
Who knows? We'll put out the bat signal. But yeah, we'll have a special interview with Jason Somerville that we're recording later today for tomorrow's show. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Today, though, today's one of those days, man.
We do what we always do.
Today's one of those days. You know, I expected to just kind of hang out.
Yeah, like yesterday, right? You know,
like
reminisce.
We're a little short-staffed. You know, I don't really know what we're going to talk about. Maybe we just go down memory lane a bit.
Well,
I don't know. You know, let's just have a chill Thursday. It's the penultimate episode.
That's right.
Nah. We in this one Maurice got he said, you tell people not to report about my winnings? Yeah, I did, because you're a scumbag. And I don't think scumbags should get, the shine. And then, today Nessie reaches out. It was actually late last night, but she reaches out and she goes, just so you know, this is way worse than you think. It's not just
Nessie is
sneaky Nessie on Twitter,
yes,
if you will.
That's right.
But this is Denise Pratt.
Correct.
Lovable poker aficionado, if you will. You might remember her from calling Dan Shack a bitch 4 or 5 years ago in the Five Diamonds.
Oh man,
I think that's how she kind of got her foot in the door here. But she's a very well-to-do person. I think she's in the her for loves poker. You know, sometimes a little out of pocket when she's out there on the Twitter streets. But hey, that's what happens when you give a grandma technology.
That's
you know,
right.
you got to chill a little, chill grandma. But today she's doing everything right. She hit me up and she said, look, the money's gone. I know I'm not getting it back, but I want to prevent people from having this scam ran on them any further. And she sent us receipts. So the long and short of it, to catch everybody up of what's been going on, if you've been living under a rock, you know, we've been covering it this week as I always forget his first name, but his last name's Garcia. Randy Garcia. Yeah. So Randy Garcia, you've probably heard his name mentioned a bunch in the last few years. He previously backed Maurice and got a settlement in court versus Maurice for $116,000. Maurice has not made good on that, and Randy takes every opportunity he can when Maurice gets the spotlight to remind people of what a piece of shit this guy is for, you know, owing these debts and not trying to make good. Well, this came up again this past week on basically the 1-year anniversary of the last time we covered it. And, you know, it's kind of one of those, how much can you beat a dead horse type of thing? Like, okay, the beacon's out there. We all know Maurice is Maurice. And, you know, people just shouldn't be doing shady business with him. Unfortunately, he's stayed in action, and, you know, we kind of went through his resume. He's won over $500,000 every year for the last 4 years and nearing $1 million a few times. So clearly he's getting financed to get into these games.
Right.
And you have to ask yourself, how? Who is taking the shots? And the answer is very nice, unsuspecting people who probably should know better. And this isn't a victim shaming episode, but you know, in spite of their what would be best for them, they take a chance on the young man. So, you know, Denise has confided in me in the past that she's done business with Maurice. He's never really done right by her, as far as I can tell. But this was kind of the camel's back. She sent me an email of their happenings, I guess, over the last, call it 3 weeks. So it started on April 4th. The deal was for the WPT Hard Rock with a 50-50 split. That was a $3,500. I wired him $3,500. He busted. Next was Daytona, Florida. The deal was 40-60 in favor of Maurice. I wired him $3,000 and Venmoed him $750. He bought in once and busted. So then we decided to go play the MSPT Columbus, Minnesota. I paid for his flight to Columbus and back, first class. I paid for his hotel stay there. He bought in once before I got there. Then I gave him $22.20 for 2 more buy-ins, which, just doing the quick math, she's already well into the surplus of having given him buy-ins. I don't know what the buy-in was at the MSPT, or I guess in Daytona, but if she wired him $3,000 and gave him another $750, that's $3,750. I'm very sure it wasn't a $3,750 buy-in or even a $3,500. I'm pretty certain of that. Daytona runs smaller events. So this was probably the Moneymaker Tour. I would imagine it was a 1600, which means that he had 2 bullets.
2 bullets, right.
He played once and busted. Okay, so he should have an excess here of a buy-in already. Now she pays for his flight, his hotel stay. She gives him another $22.20 for 2 more buy-ins, which means that 1600 is just dust, I guess. He loses those. Next stop, Tunica, Mississippi. Wired him $2,500. He wanted $8,000, but I said no to that. He told me his flight was $50 and that rooms were cheap, if not free. He bought into the mini main 4 times. Then he started texting me to buy his 17-year-old daughter a plane ticket to Tunica. I was like, what the fuck? What 17-year-old wants to come sit in a room in Tunica, Mississippi? LOL, no, hell no. Then
I love that part.
Then the name calling and disparaging remarks began. Then he bought into the nightly and won money and a seat into the main event there. After that, he bought into the Tunica WSOP event 5 for $400 and he won $24.68. Then he bought into the Tunica event 6 for $400, and he won $34,711, as well as his 19th
So he's
ring.
pretty flush right now.
Should be flush, yeah.
Yes.
He bought into the Tunica WSOP event 8 for $600, and the results are pending. Anyway, the spreadsheet attached shows that at the point he started asking for money, he still should have had my money left, which is what we were talking about. He should have had excess buy-ins, and he won on top of that. So he seriously had my money, and then some left over. I went last night and watched him win the event and shit talk about how everybody lies and how everybody owes him money. He walked towards me and I said, "Congratulations, I'm here to collect my money," at which point he shoves me aside and instead of going around me, starts cussing me out, screaming I'm bipolar and he doesn't owe me anything. At this point, you have the video footage that ensued. So we have 2 videos. They're not super conclusive, but like obviously they show a bit of an agitated state and aggression towards Nessie. So we can go ahead and roll those now.
5 times.
Yeah.
You a dumbass bitch.
No,
Get the fuck
you a
away from me.
dumbass.
How about that? And don't ever in my life contact me. Or
It's
text
gonna
me.
be all in the news. You lie and screw everybody.
You need to get away from me. That's what you need. Oh, you shit.
You gonna do it on the outside of the casino. We're not gonna
I'm not cussing you. Someone that's
You was running on your little text, man. That bipolar shit don't work for me. Get away from me, dog.
Denise, you gotta leave. Gotta go. Gotta go.
already. Well, he got his
I owe you shit.
So, you can't really glean a ton from there. Like she obviously doesn't have the actual shove on video as far as I know. Maybe there's other videos that she didn't share with us, which is very reasonable. But it's very clear like Maurice is being aggressive towards her and has no intention of paying. The second video is at the payout line, and you can hear that, the casino isn't going to do anything to help her get paid. And I'm sure that this is like pretty common practice where people are getting in line to collect their debts, and the casino oftentimes protects the player in this instance, which it seems as though they did there, kind of asking Denise to move along and that she had to go, she's causing a scene, yada, yada, yada. So, there isn't a lot of recourse in these particular situations. It's just kind of take it on the chin, learn your lesson. But if we check out this spreadsheet of what was actually taking place here and, what ultimately was owed, you can see that Denise provided $11,460 worth of buy-ins. That's the number in the 4th column at the bottom. And Maurice had won something in the neighborhood of $37,000, of which we assume she's owed about half. I think this number on the side is maybe what she gets of those. So it looks like it's less than half. But she should be getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 15,000 of the winnings, plus her buy-ins back, which is another 11,150. So call it 26,500 overall, which, ultimately is the majority of this score. And Maurice gave her nothing.
Right.
As he tends to do.
Right.
So, I think with the Randy Garcia stuff, it's like it had happened in the past. And though we have a lot of the details, you kind of like lose a lot of sympathy for Randy in that spot because it's like it went on for so long kind of thing. But now this is just fresh. It's like not only does he have this indictment against him, this settlement against him for $116,000, where
is that the one with Randy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where a court of law has ruled that he owes. But now he's out here, rolling Grammy Denise for another $40K, or at least a big chunk thereof, $25K, whatever. And, it's like speaking with her, she understands that like she's not going to get the money, and she understands that like she shouldn't have, given this guy the umpteenth chance. The 19th chance, if you will, based off of the amount of rings that he's won. But what's done is done. And at some point, I think as a community, it becomes really critical to put an end to this kind of stuff. Like, there's just the real reason why Maurice should not be at the top of the circuit rings wand list is because nobody should be putting him in the fucking events.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
And like, if you're foolish enough to think that this is a profitable endeavor, then, you know, it becomes hard to advocate on your behalf. Like, Denise is a friend in this instance, and I have no problem being very straight up with her and telling her that she fucked up.
Right.
Right. And she understands that. It's like, some people, and this is the problem, this is who he preys upon. Some people are just so soft-hearted and have so much excess that they really want to help people who appear to be down on their luck.
I'm sure he's a professional scammer.
Of course.
Not a professional poker player. He's a professional scammer. And that's what these people do, right? They prey upon people who, like you said, are too nice, and they're very good at what they do.
Right.
They're smooth talkers. They know how to, like, you know, play the whatever role he wants to play to make her hand over money. I mean, this happens, you know, not just this industry. It happens in crypto. You see crypto scams all the time. Like, how could this person get scammed? And it's just like, people are professionals. This is what they do. And so, like, you're like, you wonder why it happens. You know, it just happens. And that's why we do have to get the word out that this guy right here is a scammer. Do not believe a word he says. He's going to take your money and you're never going to get it back.
And at some point, I would think, I don't know the law well enough, but, you know, I'm basically throwing this out there as a hypothesis. I would think at some point this crosses some line beyond civil, right?
Right.
Like, when you think of things like the Tinder swindler, right? Or if you guys remember Lucky, who was known as the sweetheart swindler, they did jail time.
Yeah.
Like, serious jail time. I think Lucky was in jail for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, you know, that familiar with the law and how it works, but there are laws against, you know, these kinds of scams, right? To prevent people from doing them. So, like, I don't know what kind of, you know, legal action that can be taken against him, but I would think it's not zero.
Right. That's what I'm unsure of. So, as far as I understand, the best recourse that they have right now is to attempt to get a lien on his earnings and have his wages garnished.
Right.
So,
this is for Randy to get paid out?
Well, for Randy, first and foremost, like, he has a settlement.
He's first up, I guess.
Yeah. So she would have to go the route of suing Maurice as well.
Right.
And winning, which probably won't be too hard considering he already has a ruling against him. But in the meantime, for Randy's sake, it seems as though getting his wages garnished in all the places that he plays would be the first step. And I'm not sure if he has already done this in like wherever he got the rule. I think he got the ruling somewhere in Florida. But I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about the law. I don't know if this then becomes a statewide thing or if it's literally like district by district.
What would be interesting is if they have these liens. This is public knowledge that the liens are out there. Okay, so Maurice is aware of it.
Yeah,
because it'd be better if he wasn't aware of it.
Of course,
right?
Yeah,
because then it's just like he just unsuspectingly wins a tournament, and then sorry, your money's going to the people that you owe. But in this case. Randy's likely not to get his money back, but it's going to prevent Maurice from playing, which will prevent him from scamming other people, I presume.
Right. Yeah. Well,
or maybe not. Maybe he just plays.
Yeah,
gets it all. So he, gets his debts paid off. Then he can continue to play. I don't know what route he would go, but like I think if he's going to play a tournament and knows that he's not going to be able to keep the money.
Your point is very valid, right? So, but again, it comes down to like. I know when I was talking to Veronica about this, getting these liens put on becomes a big hurdle because you have to do it like everywhere that he plays.
Right.
It's not like you just get it done once. Like you get the ruling of, okay, he owes you $116,000. That judge says, okay, we're going to put a lien on his wages now indefinitely.
Right.
It's like, no, he can put a lien on his wages like in that district, I assume, or maybe at the state level. I'm not sure. But like, yeah, you have to
just go play places where
you have to get it done in like Vegas. You have to get it done in Florida. You have to get it done Cherokee, like all the places where he's going to frequent the most. You have to get it done. And he also just like creates this, these massive hurdles over what is ultimately like small money to a lot of the people that are offering it. Like, Denise isn't going to lose any sleep over this $25K,
right?
Outside of the fact that she got scammed,
right?
You know, and now it becomes a matter of like, okay, well, you have to sue me, and then you have to get a ruling against me, and then you have to get these liens put on me in all these different areas. And the only reason to do it is just to ensure that I stop fucking people over,
right?
But like, maybe that's just enough. Like, maybe he just finally messed with the wrong person, where it's enough for like somebody who like Denise is independently wealthy and has time.
Right.
Like, you know, I got time for this.
Yeah.
I'll happily take you to a bunch of different courts.
Right. Make your life hell.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure people have forgotten already, but I believe the last time this came up, whenever Randy was like outing Maurice or whatever, Maurice was like being evicted from his property because of these liens or because of lack of payment or combination of both. And it's like, you know, on one hand, part of me, I don't want to go so far as to say I have empathy for Maurice. I do not. But part of me like understands how it got to here. You know, like at some point there was a fork in the road where it was like, I could choose to stay on the up and up and
just
you
go
know,
broke, right?
Just go broke and figure out my life and, you know, my family and my kids and this mortgage and all this other stuff, or I can borrow money that I can't ensure that I can pay back and hope that it works out.
Right.
Like, that's the first step, right?
Yeah, it's just like, well, hopefully I'll win and everything will work out. But if it doesn't,
like, you have the best
backup plan.
Yeah, you have the best intentions, but you know, it's gambling, right? So maybe that one doesn't work out. Now he's starting to accrue a little bit of debt, and then you just double down. And it becomes like you're almost like martingaling yourself, where it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep doing this until, and then, you know, it becomes robbing Peter to pay Paul. Right. So it's like you finally have a score. Now you go back to the original debt and you pay him off. Or what actually ends up happening most often is you pay off your most recent debt.
Because they're the one funding you.
Exactly. Right. So now you get some credibility, and you hope that these old skeletons don't come out of the closet.
Right.
And you can keep them at bay long enough where you can send them a few bucks and keep your name above board. And I'm sure for a long time that just happened. Right. Maurice was in action for years, man. Years before somebody had the guts to come out and call this out. And it's like people on the inside that have been playing with him for a long time have probably always known this. And this isn't new to poker. You know, when I first got into the game, if you saw like, I don't want to disparage the dead, but you know, if you saw some of these old timey gamblers wandering your way with their hands in their sweatpants, you knew that they were about to ask you for a buy-in. Yeah. You know, it's like, I remember when we were playing at Niagara Falls back in the day, right before we moved to Vegas, this was like 2005, 2006, one of the 1020 regs that I played with on Tuesdays, like, follows me to the bathroom. He's getting smashed that night, right? And I'm doing really well, whatever. I'm very liquid at the time. I probably have like 50 or 60K, not on me, but in life. And that's pretty good for like a 23-year-old. I'm playing in this 1020 game. I'm doing really well. He was like a bar owner who fancied himself a no limit hold'em player and, you know, was kind of degenning it up and, you know, maybe has a buy-in left in front of him or whatever. And he follows me to the bathroom and he asked me to borrow $1,000. And it felt like a shakedown. Like, I didn't feel like I had an option.
Right.
And I knew it was a massive gamble to not say no, because I'm thinking like, well, he's a business owner. And I see him play these big games all the time. I watch him get whacked week over week. If he's asking me to borrow money at this point, it can't be because he just didn't bring enough with him. Right. So sure as shit, I loan him the $1,000. He loses. And I don't get any, like, there's no attempts to pay me back. And at the time, that felt like a lot of money. As years went by, it felt like less and less. So years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, he's doing well. He ships a tournament for like $250,000. Still don't hear nothing. And then like 2009, so this probably happened in like 2005, like 2009, 2010, we were playing 510 at Caesars. It was like right around the time that Phelps got into the scene. And sure enough, he's in town for like whatever event's going on. He sits down at my table and he buys in for like $2,000. And I look at him like, can I get some money? Like, what's going on? So he gives me $500, which is like but it's progressed to a point where everybody is aware that he's a scumbag. And I think at this point, he's just leaning in because he's not even attempting to like make good on the borrowed money.
Right.
You know, it's like, it would be one thing if she came to the payout desk after he just had a 34K score and he handed her 10K and said, we're good. Right. And she's like, no, we're not fucking good. And he's like, those are your buy-ins back. And, you know, it would have at least made good on the buy-ins, right? And she'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I want my piece.
He took the profit and the buy-ins.
He just took it all.
Yeah.
Right? He just took, he said, I don't owe you anything. You bipolar. Like, you're out of here. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, but like, how did you get in then, buddy?
Right.
You know, why don't you show us some receipts if you don't owe her anything?
Right.
How did you get to this stop?
Sure, she could clearly show her bank account receipts.
Of course.
Right? There's money wired right to him.
Right
There's
to
money,
Maurice.
right to his Venmo. Right to his
That's
his
the
bank
smartest
account.
thing that she did was not give him cash.
Right.
The fact that like she, I assume, like, look, I'm taking a leap of faith here, putting these receipts out without her sending me the wire info and everything else.
Right.
But I take for granted that like she's not making this shit up.
Right.
So
she has no reason to.
Right. So when she's able to just come forward with receipts of 11K overall wired to him for buy-ins, first class tickets booked for him to get to Minnesota, hotel rooms. Like she told me in the past, she used to try to help him out, like booking hotels for him, and he would just run up a huge tab on like the room service bills and shit. Like she'd get him a free room and then get like an $800 bill.
See that's what I'm saying with these professional scammers. They'll drain you dry. Literally every single dollar that they think they can get off of you is what they will try to get. Right? Like he said, she offered him whatever it was, and he wanted $8K. He's like, she already gave him so much money, and then he tried to get even more on top of that. Right? He obviously has money that he was winning, that he had buy-ins. He didn't need to get more money off of her to play these events, but he still tried to because he was trying to milk her for every single cent.
Right. Yeah.
And then when he finally wins, he gives her nothing.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Right. So
pisses me off.
Zero.
Man.
Literally a zero. And you know, poker attracts this type, right?
Just think about how many people are out there doing this right now that we don't know about.
Right. And that's the other thing is that unfortunately, you know, not only does poker attract these types, but it also attracts like primed marks. You know,
You have to be very careful.
It attracts the wealthy casual who doesn't think that much about a few buy-ins, and wants to help talent flourish.
Right.
Like you look,
this person has some bunch of scores. Look at all these rings he has. Like he can just make you know. I want to do right. You know, I want to help him out while he's down, and I know he's got the talent, and he can make me a little money on the side. Sounds like a win-win. And
I think a little bit has to
nothing.
do with also like being in the in crowd. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm rubbing elbows with these guys that are like presumably winning and playing in tournaments and are well known. Yeah. It's like, oh, I want to be a part of that circle. I'm not saying that's what happened with Denise, but
no, of course not.
You know.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, also like you're just always brushing elbows with these people. Like if you're at every tour stop or I guess circuit stop in this particular instance, you're just going to see this type of person over and over and over again, right? So it's like you see him winning. It seems like an opportunity. Maybe it seems like you're right, like a chance to be a part of. I don't want to say the clique, but you know, I'm sure he's not the only person she's given money to. Is my point, right?
Not.
Like I'm sure there's a bunch of regs on the circuit and in the Go Studio and everywhere else where she's like, I believe in you. I'm gonna fund you, and they have a fine working business deal between them. You know, it's unfortunate whenever you know shit like this appears, and suddenly you have to deal with a guy yelling at you at the payout line that like he doesn't owe you anything.
Have a little bit, like he has no shame at all, like zero. Like you think he'd just like maybe put his head down, take his money and walk away? No, he's like interface. Like he takes it to another level.
You have to assume too that like he has somebody else lined up. Otherwise, he would be less likely to burn this bridge. Right. Because it's like you could just
you would just make some excuses or
give her 10K and be like, oh, like I'm gonna hold on to
keep the
you know what
going.
I mean? Right. It's like she's obviously
burn this one to the ground.
Yeah, she's obviously willing to give way more the benefit of the doubt. You know, so it's like one would think that there's somebody else already lined up, or he had multiple people giving him money for this series, you know, and he's decided like she's the easiest one to swindle.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah, that's another thing, right? You tell 5 people that you're playing for them. Right. Now you just collect all those buy-ins.
Yeah.
And then when you win, you don't pay nobody.
Right. Right.
Or the one person that you think will continue to give you money. Yeah.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah. And you just keep. It's truly like the Tinder swindler.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just have this chain of people that you're calling, and I need it. They're gonna kill me. You know.
Yeah.
Send the ransom money to this whatever.
You also have to run really well in terms of like who you're getting money from, because all it takes is one person to borrow money from that isn't going to put up with this sort of thing, and it's over.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people who do this sort of thing are cognizant of that and probably don't approach people who they think might come back at them in not a nice manner.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. That's.
I mean, look, the well's gonna run dry soon, right? I mean, you would think.
Well, hopefully that's why we're talking about it. Like, hopefully, this is a PSA to anybody who's traveling the World Series circuit, to anybody who's about to be at the WSOP this summer, who gets approached by Maurice and told what a sweetheart deal it's going to be for them.
Exactly.
Like, literally,
he's gonna smooth talk your pants off.
Just say no, man.
Yeah,
and I get it. Like, I was in that spot, you know, cornered in a bathroom by a guy that I see every single Tuesday who, by all accounts, has a decent rep and, you know, is really, but like, look, I was 23, 22 at the time. Like, yeah, I was going to do something dumb there because I was uncomfortable with confrontation and saying no, like, felt really bad. And I get it. There's going to be a lot of people now that feel the same way. And he's aggressive. Like, he'll shake you down. From the way that video demonstrated him being willing to talk to her in public like that, like, he has no problem. And that's his persona at the table, too. I've played with him a handful of times at the World Series where it's just like he's abusive to players at the table with the way he tries to intimidate them and bully them and all this other bullshit. And it's just like, at some point, you have to listen to all of those signals in your gut that say this is a bad idea.
Right.
Don't get involved, right? Like, don't get shaken down by this scumbag so that you can be the victim when he wins his 20th. And that's just the long and short of it. You know, it's like, I appreciate that Denise was willing to come forward with like receipts.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully the next person who Maurice is targeting sees this show, as well as many others in the past. And, you know, hopefully at some point in time, the grift ends. But where Maurice stops, someone else will pick up the slack. You know, like I said, there's a lot of this, you know, the Luckies in the world and all these others that are kind of out there panhandling for buy-ins. Like, it's never, if somebody's begging for a backing deal, like, they're just not investable.
Right.
Not in today's day and age. Anybody good can just like sell.
Yeah, if you're good and you're on the up and up, you'll find funding.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, it's like, why doesn't he sell? Oh, easy answer. No one has confidence he'll pay.
Right.
And he could just make way more money this way.
Of course. Of course.
You know, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's shitty that this is like the way that we have to kind of like
do a PSA.
I mean, just even like going out like on this note. Of course. I mean, might as well bookend the fucking show.
Yeah, right. Of course. This is what we do. But I mean, we're like, you know, this is a good thing that we're doing. Right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
sure.
It's like trying to prevent people from getting scammed, show people how the operation is done, and then, you know, maybe we help a few people along the way.
Yeah, whatever, man. I don't fucking know.
Whatever.
I just really think guys like this are super, super scum.
Of course.
And everybody under the sun should just like let him have it. Like, you see him in the hall, call him a scumbag. I love the way that Ali was treated at the World Series. Deeb just trolling him. People like Seaver just right in his face about it all. Like, name and shame, man.
Yeah.
Like, literally just publicly accost these people the way that they have to us. Because, like, again, that's his grift, man.
Yeah. It's harder to do it with Maurice because of how aggressive and how the bully tactics that he takes. You know what I mean?
But like, if you're willing to go that route, at some point, he's going to create enough of a scene where people start to ban him.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, okay, we're starting to head down the right path.
Right.
You know, get these guys out of the fucking game.
Yeah.
And like, look, the poker ecosystem needs...
I'm going to clean up this town.
The poker ecosystem needs a lot of cleaning up. And honestly, like, this is small potatoes to some of the other nefarious shit that takes place. But I think this is the easiest one to just, like, remedy.
Yeah.
Like, just stop fucking giving the guy money, man. You know, at the end of the day, like, do we really want Ari to be at the top of that list, or do we want fucking Maurice to be there? You know, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Exactly.
Like, don't care if he's good. Don't care if he's not good and pulling a mend the master and fucking sneaking chips in. Who knows?
Allegedly.
Well, no,
not even allegedly.
I am alleging. Yeah. Well, no, not alleged for men. Men definitely did it.
Yes.
But yes, I'm speculating on how to win 19 bracelets in the middle of fucking Pawtucket. But yeah, I mean, like, whatever. You know, we see poor Nacho falling on the sword for ACR, and we still got Maurice out here fucking winning rings.
Right.
You know, like, what's going on here? Let's get it right at some point in time.
Seriously.
All right. Moving off of the despair of the day, I guess. Some good news.
All right.
Pennsylvania has officially joined the multi-state internet gaming agreement. Yesterday, there was a brief podcast done between Governor Shapiro in PA and Maury Eskandari. You can maybe run like a minute of this.
8.5 minutes. Is there a juicy part that I should look for?
You know what? Don't even worry about it. Let's just skip it. Because I watched it and it was just a lot of them glazing one another.
Is there a part where the governor is actually on here?
Yeah. Jeff and Brent are on for like 30 seconds.
Here, let me just zoom in.
Pleasure is all mine. And I mean, the fact that you are the highest ranking official that I know, all my years in poker, that's supporting us, we're so grateful. And what made this the right time for Pennsylvania to join the multi-state and the gaming?
Well, first off, Maury, it's really cool for me to be with you. I love your background, by the way. It looks great. I'll just say what made me want to do it is I think it's common sense. There's a bunch of folks like you out there, including 150,000 people right here in my state, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who love to play poker online. And I think they should be able to play poker online, not just with people from Pennsylvania, but they should be able to reach out and do it with people from other states, not have to wait as long for a game, and have games that are more vibrant, more competitive, and where they get to compete against more people kind of at their level. So I just think it's common sense. It's smart. And I know you probably don't care about this, but it's good for the Commonwealth taxpayers as well. So I think it's a win-win all around.
Well, I care
all around. Absolutely.
Might be the next president of the United States right there.
There you go. Who knows?
He's gonna
run. He went on to talk about the Eagles, so I'm not that excited about it. But they did win the Super Bowl, so
and they come on the 28th. Is that right?
So the bill was signed yesterday. I think it's a bill. Whatever it was signed yesterday. Monday will be the first day that the shared liquidity is in action. However, my understanding is that it's BetMGM and Party that have, and Stars that have onboarded, and maybe not even Stars yet. I've only seen the BetMGM Party side. I assume Stars has or will, though, very quickly. I don't think WSOP has been able to merge just yet. So I still think there are some hoops to jump through on their side. I don't know if it's software related or if it's legal related.
It's always software related.
I don't think so now because we have the same software as PA.
Yeah.
But
it's always something, though.
Yeah, but in any event, WSOP is lagging a bit behind as far as I can tell. But I do believe when it's all said and done that they'll join the liquidity pool, which will be the only Nevada one that's in the market. So one-stop shop to get all 5 liquidity pools at this point. Is it 5? PA, Michigan, Jersey, Nevada, and Is Delaware still a thing?
No, I don't know. The 3 people that play there.
Maurice wanted to say hi real quick.
What is that? I can't read it.
He said, at OnlyFriends pod. Wait, this is the funny part. He typed AT, like at. And then at OnlyFriends pod. I want you to know I'm about to sue the fuck out of you. Okay.
We put the allegedly up, bro. It's just like, you can't do anything. You saw the emu.
Yeah. Sue away, buddy.
Yeah, sue away.
You know, like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
I'm just out here stating the facts.
Yeah.
You rolled your backers, bro.
Yeah.
You rolled your backers. What can you do about it? Allegedly. While we get into, I guess, or I guess we can talk about the Nacho apology since that came out yesterday. Weird one. I get what he's trying to do, but it was a little bit weird. I'll just cut to the middle part. He said, to make things clear, I've never cheated or used any RTA software or anything alike to gain an unlawful advantage at the table. I think having pads as an arbiter for the situation would be more than enough to prove that. I had a lesson with some horses before playing. The tab was left open. I will not elaborate on the subject because no matter what I say, angry people on the internet will do their thing. I agree with all of that. But to those who know me, have spent time with me, those whose opinion matter, deserve my time to address it. Regarding chatter with Ike, this is the weird part to me. I misunderstood what he said. Imagine that if I misclicked live playing for 5 million USD, I might as well not be the most attention-oriented person. At the moment, I had no clue the talk was about game integrity, and although it might sound weird, I did not mean by any means that ACR is not a safe site to play at. That's a little weird to me because, again, if you go back and watch the clip, he initiated the conversation where... And to be fair, like I said, when we talked about this before, I said giving him the most charitable interpretation. I think when he said I should have never posted it, right, they would have never known. I do believe he meant I should have just never promoted the Venom,
right? Because
they would have never known,
right?
And then I wouldn't have made the mistake of accidentally posting GTO Wizard up in the background. I do believe that's what he meant. And so maybe by that same frame of logic, he didn't understand when Ike retorted, like, I can't believe they didn't know you had it up and running in the background. And his reply of like, I don't even think they're trying, bro, was maybe again along the lines of like, I don't think they're trying to police people from opening websites.
Right.
Not necessarily. I don't think they're trying to keep the site safe. He said, if I did not believe in the integrity of the site or the people working there, I would not have ever taken part in it. These are sad times for me. Everything I try to bring to the table is fun and entertaining. And it sucks being put as an example for cheating. I mean, to be fair, I don't think that's why you were fired. I don't think anybody thinks you're a cheater.
Right. Pat's made it pretty clear.
Yeah. When I'm probably one of the most distant individuals of that, especially in a voracious environment as online poker is nowadays with all the things that do happen and no one bats an eye about. Yeah. I mean, I think the last part, I don't think anyone thinks Nacho's a cheater. No. And I was on the side of like, I don't think that he's the one ACR should be making an example of, all things considered. Like, okay, yes, from in a vacuum, should a business fire an ambassador who jokes about their security being not good? Yeah, probably. But
you're doing the exact opposite of what we hired you to do.
Right. But like my perspective is that that's true of pretty much all of ACR's ambassadors. Like almost none of them are doing anything to bring in new people.
Right.
So like by that logic, like I would just fire the whole team. And you know, it's not great either when you have the main face who probably is the only person bringing new eyes to the site in Moneymaker saying like, yeah, I would fire them both. Mm-hmm. And his stance is from a business perspective is probably pretty accurate. Like they did things to besmirch the brand when their sole purpose is to bring positive light to the brand and put new eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. Right. So it's just like, okay, sure. You know, you're going to get let go in these situations. And I understand his feeling of like, oh, this sucks that it's like under a cloud of scrutiny for cheating. But like, I don't think anyone in the community thinks Nacho was cheating or is cheating or anything along those lines. It's just bad fucking optics. Yeah. So, you know, it's an unfortunate thing that he even had to apologize. And honestly, if I got fired from a company like ACR, I don't think I would have apologized. I might have just doubled down. Like, I said what I said, bro. They're not fucking trying.
Right.
You know? They just ain't trying. All right, one last thing as we pivot into the Barber talk. I believe Doug's challenge with Perkins, he put more details out today on Instagram. So it looks as though he's at 22% body fat now. Okay. And he bet Perkins, as far as I can tell, he bet 200K 1-to-1, but I imagine that's not true. He didn't divulge the actual specs of the bet as far as like what he's risking to win. I would think he's getting odds because losing half your body fat is fucking hard.
Half? He has to get the...
So he has to go from 22 to 11 by October 6th.
Oh,
which,
man. That's not that much.
5 months?
Yeah, that's not a lot of time at all.
Oh, I was right. I said I thought he was 23% body fat yesterday.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You thought he was sub 20.
I thought he was like 18.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a side picture. You can't really see his stomach there. Yeah. A lot of room for error. But go back to that for the details of the bet. So he says, I'm currently 22% body fat. I have until October 6th to get to 11. Back in 2023, I got down to 15%. I'll send that picture over to you now, so you can show the audience.
I think he needs to make a bet on his posture, man. This homie's not standing upright.
Oh, he has like post-anterior tilt, and his scap is retracted while his shoulders are rolled forward.
And I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, like, he legit. If this
I'm
really
not
is
either.
the way that he stands,
I mentioned it yesterday.
This doesn't look normal.
Yeah, I'm not talking shit either. I mentioned it yesterday. Like, there's a lot out of line.
Too much time at the desk?
No, if I had to guess, and again, speculating, but having lifted for 35 years, I think I can take a crack at it. If I had to guess, he probably just started weight training, like seriously, within the last couple of years.
Allegedly.
I said if I had to guess.
I'm just joking, man.
They're not funny jokes.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, he probably just started weight training, and it's just a lot of poor form. That's my guess. Like, anytime I've seen people in situations like this. So this is 15%. He needs to lose another 4% body fat.
He looks pretty lean here, man.
Well, he looks very skinny there. I don't know what the mass difference is between him now and him in that photo, but he doesn't have a lot of quote unquote weight to lose in that second photo.
Right.
So it's like, to lose another 4%, you almost have to gain muscle, because like, yeah, the fat's there, but are you going to be 6'2", 145? Like, that's a hard challenge to undertake.
He's 6'2"?
I think he's
around that.
He's definitely over 6 foot for sure. But yeah, I saw a lot of people saying they wanted to get side action down, wondering if he was using any sort of GLP-1s or gear or anything along those lines. I would also like to bet, if I knew the speculations, like if he's not allowed to use, like if he has to do it natty,
he's drawn dead. Right?
I'll lay odds if he has to do it natty. I would definitely lay odds. Which I shouldn't say that, because I'm sure I could get even money pretty easily, especially from Laskowitz, who thinks that anybody on earth can get to 10% body fat. Genetics are a bitch, man.
Yeah.
You're not willing to try to overcome them with a little bit of gear. Like, you're kind of like left with what God gave you.
And I mean, it's not, it's not a lot of time, but he's 2 years older.
It's only a 5-month time frame.
Yeah.
It's not like
listen, for someone who, is not a spring chicken anymore, it becomes increasingly harder and harder to stay in shape, to lose weight, to get to a certain percentage of body fat.
It also depends on the angle that you're approaching it from, right? Like, there's the put more muscle on versus like lose the body fat. And like, yeah, you're right. And
they're both harder to do the older you get, right?
Especially the
muscle,
former,
putting the muscle on.
Especially the gaining. Like you got
testosterone.
You got to work on your hormones and all kinds of other shit. So yeah, I mean, it's an uphill battle. I think I'm very much of the mind. Like, we've had this discussion a lot in our group chat. I'm very much of the mind that, like, without aid, not everybody on earth is capable of being 10% body fat. I do not believe that that's just like an inherent thing to everybody.
You can just like work hard enough and you'll get there.
Right. Naturally, that anybody could be 10%, I call bullshit. I think it's like 20% of people on earth probably can get to 10% naturally. Right. It's, I'm guessing at that number. Maybe it's closer to 50, but I doubt it. But like, genetics are a real thing.
Yeah.
And 10% is fucking lean.
Like you said, age is a real thing too. I mean,
age is a real thing. But if you made it a subset group of like, call it 18 to 40,
how old is Doug,
45.
do we know?
I think he's 32 or 33.
He's that young?
Might be 34, but like I don't think he's over 35.
Okay.
He's a fair bit younger than Galfond.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if you took the sample of like 18 to call it 50.
Right.
I still think that, it's going to be a bell curve distribution. Like not a lot of people are going to be able to get to 10% naturally.
Yeah.
Genetics are just real. And humans aren't meant to walk at 10%. Like that wasn't what we're designed to do. We're feast and famine creatures, and that's like extreme athlete as far as like genetics go.
Yeah, I don't think people realize what 10% is. Like that is lean. That is very, very lean.
But it's not stage ready, and I think that's where people's mind go of like, well, anybody can bodybuild, and if 10% is not stage ready, then it's like they're all fucking. Yeah, probably, but they're all juiced out of their goddamn minds. Nobody.
Yeah.
Like if you watch a natural bodybuilding competition and see what the final product is there, it's like it's going to be higher single digits, maybe approaching closer to 10. You watch a Mr. Olympia, it's like they're bordering on death.
Yeah.
They're like 3%, withered over.
When you can see like striations within like the tricep, and, like the smaller muscle groups, that's when you're like crazy lean.
The glutes are like the fattiest area. Yeah. All right, we got Barber. He'll come in and tell us what's possible.
He's going to show us his glutes.
Show us his glutes.
Andrew, what's up?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
He's not Dustin.
I think that 10% is attainable for everyone. I mean, like this is dark, but I'm sure if you walked around like concentration camps during the Holocaust, people were all around 10% body fat, if not lower.
Okay, fine, but I guess like the unspoken term there is getting to 10% in a maintainable, healthy way. Starving yourself to 10%.
Yeah, I don't think people can hang out there. Like I think there's freaks that can.
No, there are plenty of people that can. Like a Jason Kuhn can definitely just chill at 10%, but he's genetically predisposed for that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I think that you can definitely go down a rabbit hole in terms of like what is everyone capable of across a variety of different dimensions. Like I always think of who was the running back for the Herschel Walker. Like Herschel Walker apparently like ate one meal a day and only did like 1,000 push-ups.
Push-ups and sit-ups. That was it.
Else.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just absolutely jacked.
Yeah, genetic freak
and
though.
Then you have other people. Yeah, totally. But I think that just because it's harder for people doesn't mean it's impossible. So I might push back on the number or the percentage of people that could attain that, but I think it's going to be vastly different in difficulty.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to imply that it's a very difficult feat whenever I say that, maybe only 20% people can get there naturally. But I guess I'm operating within the framework of a good faith debate where we're not talking about extreme measures that could get you there naturally. Yeah. Like, not consuming food for 70 days or something along those lines. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you'll get there. But again, I don't even know. Like, I don't know enough about how the science of like body fat measurements go. Like it's, I guess at some point you just get down to bone. And when that's the case, like you don't have any more fat on your body or you have very little.
Yeah.
But, even through like starvation, you're burning up so much muscle. You have so much atrophy taking place that it's really difficult to maintain a leanness. You know what I mean? Like your body's going to, the more you starve, the more your body's going to try to convert everything into fat in order to have longer storage and be able to weather the starvation cycle or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the point of this is, I think the point you're getting at is like this is going to be difficult for a lot of people, but I worry that even framing it this way might discourage someone from even making an attempt, and that's what I think I always want to like be cautious of. You never want to try to emphasize how hard something is to someone who is like looking for an excuse not to do something.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I just want to bet against it in this instance.
Sure. Did Perkins do it naturally?
No. Okay. He was pretty open about being on TRT and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
And, yeah, I mean,
that's not gear though, right? I mean, you wouldn't count that as gear, would you?
Have to.
You have to.
I think so. It's
I
just
guess
like,
I see them as different.
I mean, like, I guess if I were
if it's
betting
biological replacement, like bringing you up to norm or high end
right.
norm.
So if I were betting against somebody, well, I mean, the thing is that like it's a leveler, right? Like if you're just born with higher testosterone, it's going to be easy to get to 10%. If you're born with lower testosterone or you maintain lower levels, then like, yeah, it's going to be harder. Yeah. And I'm betting against like Doug having not been in the higher echelon of that. So yeah, I mean, I guess like
call him a low T, bro.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying like the reason there are people that can like get to 10 and just walk at that is because like they're just naturally high. And they're able to maintain high levels, and you know, that's a genetic predisposition. Like you're gifted. Most people don't have that. But you can supplement it.
Berkey, but Pitt in the military are doing an experiment right now. At like a Pitt's lab that's like next to the Steelers practice facility, where they're paying people a lot of money to basically drive their testosterone to zero.
Yeah.
Have them train and then do TRT to bring it back to norm, and just see like how much they're able to recover their muscle mass, how much they were able to regain strength. Because apparently there's evidence that when you go through basic training, you just crash your testosterone levels.
Right.
And the military thinks, oh shit, we should probably be like basically augmenting everyone's testosterone
like supplementing
in the military. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
But it's scary because the military is young. So your deal. I think I had actually heard about that because somebody recently was talking to me about the effects of cortisol on testosterone levels.
So, why does it crash there?
Because the cortisol is so high. Like they basically have an open drip.
You're not sleeping. I mean, you've probably seen movies or heard stories like people are, going weeks at a time of averaging 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night, and you just break down so fast.
Yeah, yeah. So the recovery shit, their cortisol is really high. All this ends up like flooding their system with more estrogen, less testosterone, et cetera. But yeah, that's kind of scary though because they're young, right? So if you start supplementing TRT in your early to mid 20s, you're just a lifer. Oh, I know who it was. It was my trainer. She said her, or one of the assistant trainers, she said that her boyfriend is former military, I believe, or former law enforcement. And I think she cited that exact study. She said, apparently there's new information coming out that when you work in these particular fields, it just crashes your testosterone. He had like a decade where he was just like super, super low T and couldn't do anything. So yeah, I think that makes sense. What I found interesting was people who wanted to bet against Doug kept asking if he was going to be using Ozempic. And to me, unless he was like very precise with it in a way where he was still preserving muscle mass, it wouldn't be that much of a benefit given that he's already down to 22%.
I mean, didn't Dr. Mike talk about he thinks that this is going to be like used by bodybuilders to cut now?
Really?
I thought so.
So I feel like I saw the same thing, or maybe I sent you something similar to that. But I think he was like, yeah, I'm trying to remember how he framed it. Because I remember the early part of that conversation was like any aggressive use of it will just naturally lead to atrophy, which is obviously against what they're looking to do. But I guess like your point is valid. Like it depends which approach he takes. If he's trying to gain or maintain mass, then massive appetite suppression probably isn't going to be super helpful. But if he's just like,
I remember what he said. He said that it would be useful for the cutting phase because so many bodybuilders are experiencing like the craziest hunger pangs.
Oh yeah.
And that it would be like the cheat code for that.
The last little part before going stage ready, when they're like the softest and most depleted. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean it's pretty interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of science out there. I'm curious of like how much gaming of this bet there is. Like if it's a 1-to-1 bet where Doug's risking 200 to win 200, it's almost certain that he can use whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. Right? Because he can't be a favorite to cut half his body weight especially
5 months.
half his body fat,
or whatever it is,
in 5 months from 22 to 11. Like,
yeah.
It gets harder and harder the lower the starting number is. It's like if you're at 50 and you got to get to 25, like that's a Herculean chore. But like 25 is pretty attainable for that. That's a hill I'll die on. Mm-hmm. Everybody on Earth can be 25% body fat.
Right. Try to go from 10 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The more extremes seem tough.
So the bet is he needs to be 11%.
Yeah.
So 11.9 is a win.
No. Why would that be a win?
Because he's in 11.
Come on, bro.
No, hey, listen. I mean,
11.0 is a win.
I think Amarillo Slim would have said that's a win.
Yeah. Well, so would the guy limping fucking Kings.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to, understand the parameters here.
11.0 would be a win and under, I would assume. Matter of fact, you could probably make an argument that like 11.0 is a push, but I assume that he would give him the win on that one.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of exercise and diet and whatnot, I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. Seth Davies put a tweet out of the old man decathlon. Not even old man. It's supposed to be like 30 plus. The middle-aged man decathlon. And it was 10 exercises. Well, let's start there because I interpreted the presentation of this list, this quote-unquote decathlon, differently than I think you did. So maybe we can begin there. My interpretation was this was a barometer for your level of fitness and athleticism at whatever age it is that you're at. So here are 10 events. Can you do these? Check as many of them off the list as you possibly can. The list is get your resting heart rate under 50 BPM, sub 5-minute mile, sub 20-minute 5K, trap bar deadlift 2.5 times your body weight, 10 strict pull-ups, sub 5-second 40-yard dash, 24-inch standing vertical, 8-foot broad jump, 3-minute plank and side plank, and then finally complete a marathon or a half Ironman. So my takeaway was this was just supposed to be a measuring stick, not really. I can't do any of those things. I'm going to train up to see if I can do those things. However, I could see the merit in the latter. And I think that was more of the spirit in which you took the tweet. Am I right?
Yeah. I think that people benefit often. I mean, especially I think poker players benefit from extrinsic motivation. I think having these benchmarks, which are kind of like scattershot all over the place, range from virtually impossible to anyone should be able to do them. I would rescale some of them. I was actually kind of messing around with trying to figure out like what the distribution of attainable mile times is, or 40-yard dash times, because I think those are a little high. But I like the idea of having some goals that are going to be well aligned with just general health and fitness stuff. Like everyone would benefit from getting their heart rate as low as possible. Like full stop. There's no reason why that wouldn't be the case. And then some of these are like really correlated. Like if you were doing lots of long, slow distance, which is how you get a lower heart rate, then your mile time and your 5K time is gonna drop. And then I think there's some interesting research on the need for older people to do plyos, and like that would help with your 40-yard dash and vertical. So and the broad jump. So yeah, I think that the training for this stuff would actually be like very similar to longevity training, which is something I think everyone, in their late 30s, early 40s
plyos is like when you're
should
jumping off
on.
of boxes and stuff like that, right?
It's just jumping in general.
Just in general.
Boxes are helpful.
If you're in there, you don't plyo.
Right. So I guess like I think that's where my pushback begins. And for what it's worth, this is a very semantical argument where I think you and I don't really have a point, but we both want to flesh out each of our sides so that the other understands. My pushback to that is the reason that the benchmarks are what they are is the same reason why being able to bench 225 is what it is. Like there's a reason that's a milestone, right? There's a reason that a sub 7-minute mile a sub 5-minute mile is a milestone. Like they are very indicative of overall strength and conditioning. And I think that that's what this quote unquote decathlon represents. Each of these target things is set where it's set because it demonstrates that you're in the upper percentile, whatever that may be, maybe 95th, maybe 90th, maybe 80th, I don't know. But you're in this like upper echelon of athleticism for your age group. Now, of course, if we could correct this for like older age brackets, so, you know, I'm 43, I think you're roughly my age, maybe a year or two younger, you know, maybe then we get to add like 1/10 of a second to our 40 time, a minute to our 5K run or whatever the case may be. But by and large, like, the reason it's set up the way it's set up is because these movements are kind of like the measuring stick for what we would consider athleticism. To your side, I think it's more so a goal list where it's like, if you can even get 80% of the way there on any of these metrics, then you're doing really fucking well in the physical fitness department, and you should just, you know, keep at it. And that's more of a thing to aspire to. So I guess, like, I see both sides, but like, I hesitate to go the route of, oh, I want to like reduce this or that or the other. Like, I'm at 54 BPM right now. Like, that's close enough. You know, I'm doing fine. And I am. I don't need to get sub 50 to, like, you know, prove anything to myself or to be in that much greater health. But if I want to, like, be whatever this list is measuring, if I want to be the athlete that this list is so-called measuring, then I need to chalk that one off.
Yeah, I think my issue is there's not, I don't like how I don't like the different benchmarks that were established, because there's not a lot of I would say this. It's not consistent, the difficulty of all 10. Like, there's such a range. A sub 5-minute mile and a sub 20-minute 5K. I mean, we're talking like maybe 0.1% of the population can run a sub 5-minute mile, and maybe 20% of the population can run a sub 20-minute 5K. So, like, those are just so
it's much harder to you're right. It's much harder to run a sub 5-minute mile than it is to train up to hold plank for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think what Berkey's saying is, like, this is like kind of like CrossFit. Like, you have general fitness. Let's see how your general fitness stacks up with these different benchmarks. I just don't think the benchmarks are particularly good. And then also, if you think that the benchmarks are any good, what's the value of a benchmark that 99.9% of people are going to fail at?
I think that you're overshooting it at the 99.9, but
I've run these. I mean, like, I'm pretty confident. I mean, the sub 5-minute mile. You know, let's see here. I mean, neither of you guys went to large high schools. I'm trying to think of. I think that the largest class I ever had was maybe around 300 people. So in a school of maybe 1,200, there might have been 10 kids that could break 5.
Right, but how many kids on the track team could break 5?
I don't think it's a lot. I that's the number I think.
Okay, but the track team might be 30 kids.
Mile time in high school is like 4:30, 4:40, right?
Yeah, so like say the track team is 30 people and 10 of them can break. That's 33%. Like, this list is already sorting for athletes.
I mean, okay, but if that's the case, then, like, would there be value in having Olympic qualifying standards be your list, and then no one ever hits it except for Olympic athletes? That's where I kind of feel like this is similar to.
I would say no, because Olympians know that they're Olympians, but like former athletes this is interesting to former athletes like myself. You know what I mean? It's like, I've run a sub 5-minute mile in my life. Am I going to do it at 43? I don't know. But the fact that I've done it means that I could probably attempt to train into it.
Barber, you're not going to.
This is like when I told Berkey that I'm above average testosterone. He goes, "Yeah, that's for the whole population, not for actual people that, you know, are like in shape."
Yeah, it's true.
I know, but it's just it like.
I mean, that's how data works, right? It matters what your sample is, and it's like, of course, if you make this about the entire world, then none of us have to do anything. Because
I think it's a way to separate yourself from the rest of the world, though, isn't it?
This list or a list?
I mean, both.
Yes, I think so. I think this list is a way to separate yourself from the group of people who are physically fit, but not necessarily like at any sort of elite level, right? To Barber's point, this would be like the type of person who was interested in running Spartans or potentially training in the CrossFit Games or anything along those lines, right? The issue becomes that, and this isn't an issue, it's just a different thing, right? It's just a different thing. But if we change the barometer and we lower all the metrics to be more inclusive to people who just train, right? Now they become achievable goals that anyone who works hard enough in their 30s or 40s could attain. So now it's a sub 6-minute mile. Now it's a sub 25-minute or 23-minute 5K, right? It's just finishing a marathon. It's deadlifting your body weight instead of 2.5 times your body weight. If we lower all those barometers, sure, it brings a lot more people in, but and look, maybe this is the competitive side of me coming in, but it's like, what do we need those benchmarks for? You know what I mean? Like, beginner benchmarks
I think there's a middle ground.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Darb. I think there's a middle ground here. So something I've been talking about lately, and I had this unpublished blog post on Make America Healthy Again, but you guys are old enough to remember the Presidential Council on Physical Fitness, like the standards we used to do at gym class, like the shuttle run and
climb that rope, baby, pegboard, fuck
exactly.
Yeah.
And they had tiers, like based on the number of standards you hit or how well you did, and they had, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 levels of awards, and I wonder if that's the solution, the compromise here, is that you have some elite, unreachable numbers for 99% of people, and then you have stuff that's like quite respectable, and then you have like, this is the baseline that all adults should be able to hit. And then, and that way you can kind of scale your goals to where you're at. Like, I actually think that for lots of the population, hitting a couple of these is probably more difficult than you hitting 6 of these.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I agree with your stand. By the way, like, I'm not trying to poo-poo your idea. I think it's a good one. I think that people do need measuring sticks. I think beginner milestones are very critical to the process to make them want to continue forward. Like, when you first get in the gym, benching 135 is a big deal. That's the first number that you cross off the list, and it matters. Being able to squat your body weight is a big deal. Like, these are all beginner benchmarks that are really important to demonstrate that, like, you've entered into this process and it's going relatively well. You could see the next milestone. I think in my opinion, the spirit of this is to create a higher level of competition. So you open this up to whoever wants to dare give it a shot, kind of like the 6-12, 18-24 challenge. It's an open challenge. Anybody who wants to do it can do it, but it's going to take someone with a lion heart to actually get it done. You got
to be an elite athlete for both.
Exactly. So I think the spirit of this is to be able to separate, quote unquote, the men from the boys, or more specifically, like the elite athletes from the advanced or the intermediate
Once
ones.
you can check all the list off, then you're in a special. You
can rest for a day.
Yeah.
You can take a day off. Maybe join Goggins in a bit of a run, something along those lines. But I like your idea too, because and maybe they should work hand in hand, right? Maybe it should be like, okay, we bring in this large community of people, and I'm spitballing out loud because this is something that I'm interested in doing. I ran it by you, and I know that you're into the idea too. But maybe we have these dual lists where it's like, okay, we do soften all of these other goals, right? In a meaningful way, where it's like now 50% of people who are working hard can maybe cross this list off. And then this more elite list might only capture 10%. But, we have 2 separate competitions not even competitions, but like benchmarks going on at the same time. And it allows you to kind of have a barometer for where you're at. Like, I knocked this list off, but I only got one thing done on this other list. So now I know that I'm somewhere in between, and this is what I'm striving towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, I would imagine there's potential for it to be kind of like the colored belt system in karate,
Yeah.
Where,
yeah.
you know, at the very beginning, you're just trying to, you know, do the basics. And then eventually you're getting to a level where the time it might take to get the next belt, where it goes from being, you know, weeks or months to being years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. I want to flesh this out more because this is something that I'm kind of passionate about, and I'd like to turn it into like a multi-month challenge, something where maybe we do like, we build a community out of it. We, you know, give away prizes. We motivate the individuals through different metrics. We have different checklists going on, even offering training. I think that this is scalable in a meaningful way where I don't gain anything out of it necessarily other than partaking. But like, there are a lot of people in my life that I think this can benefit either from a fitness side of things or from the side of things where like they are, you know, I'm pretty close with a handful of trainers where I think that them being involved in this would be a great addition. I'm friends with like people who are super into nutrition where it's like they could lend their advice. And I don't know, man, like I guess I've kind of given up on changing the whole world, and I'm much more interested in leaving my thumbprint on maybe a smaller chosen community that wants to opt in. And this seems like a pretty good way to onboard.
Yeah, I was thinking there was a documentary I saw a while ago, and they mentioned this high school, La Sierra, in Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like back in the 60s where like they had this really ambitious PE program. And they had,
I've heard this. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
no.
Like color-coded stuff for hitting certain standards. And I was just pulling them up, but it was like they're intermediate. This was their lowest standard. Be able to do 10 pull-ups, 32 push-ups, 12 bar dips, 60 sit-ups, 6'9" broad jump, 200-yard shuttle run, 34 seconds, rope climb, agility run, mile run, 7 minutes, man lift and carry. She had to carry another student 880 yards, and then a 50-yard swim in 36 seconds. And
men used to go to war, Barber.
You say 880 yards carry somebody?
Hell yeah. Men used to go to war.
Yeah, and used to carry their soldiers on their back.
You're goddamn right they did, Tortoise. And you know why they could carry them 880 yards?
Why is that?
Because they were fucking skinnier back then.
Yeah.
These are high school kids we're talking about?
Hell yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And that's the lowest bar.
Yeah, that's just to get a passing grade. You know? Fuck,
but
let's
people,
go.
Like the school, like people in the school took this really seriously. In the documentary, they tell a story of the first girl to ever hit the standards, and she dedicated herself to it for years.
Yeah.
And I think that she had to like hit her final goal on like the day of graduation or something like that. But no, I think it's a really cool idea. And ever since you mentioned it, Berkey, like I think there's potential there, and I think you just start small. I think you don't try to. It's easy to get caught up in trying to save the whole world, but that's just
right.
That's so difficult. I think you start with something small.
I think just bringing back healthy competition in a meaningful way is like very beneficial to most, especially in like this arena, like the physical arena. You know, where it's like showing up is truly half the battle. And then on top of that, just like being disciplined covers like the next, 3/4 to 90% of what you have to achieve. It's like there's only a little sliver of room to like do all the little stuff right and elevate yourself. But most of it is just like showing up and being dedicated to the activity day in and day out.
This is my issue with like the standards in Seth's list, is that I think that they're so elite that showing up and doing the work is not going to get you there for most people.
Yeah.
And I think that sucks. That sucks to have standards that are quite literally unattainable.
Oh yeah. See, I took it as that was the point. I took it as that was the point, right? It was like here's the list. It's going to filter out almost everybody to begin with. And then there are going to be people that say, like, I've done this at some point in my life. I think I can train back into it or not. And, that small, basically they get their gold star. Like, oh, I can still do it. Like, Seth Davies probably knocked this all out in a week. It's just like, yeah, you're a really good fucking athlete, man. And, you tip your cap to that. And it's like for the everyday guy who grew up playing sports for 25 plus years and then, finds himself just withering away, reminiscing. This is a nice way to get back into competition,
Yeah, I think that I would really like to put some thought into what are some good like tiers of standards. And so that it is inviting to people who are starting from, like a relatively inactive state. And there's some motivation there. And, maybe the goal for the average person is to hit, a couple of these as they're currently stated. But I think they were like lazily put together. That kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. And I think something that I have grown to appreciate as I've gotten older is if you look at the elite in professional sports, genetics is determining so much of who reaches like the upper echelons. So like in CrossFit, since we're talking about like, being fit across a bunch of different domains, like Rich Froning was dominant in CrossFit for the longest time. And if you learn about him, you find out that he was like at the peak of his training career, he was doing 3 workouts a day, every day. And the thing is, like, you have to be a genetic freak for your body not to break down doing 3 hard workouts a day.
Or you just got to be on that HGH, bro. You want to get out here and sling the GLP-1s? I'm going to be the biggest advocate on earth for HGH. It's a game changer.
I've taken it myself, so I can appreciate it. I think the average person probably needs GLP-1. The average person doesn't need HGH. But if you're trying to maximize your potential, you probably need HGH, and you probably won't need GLP-1s.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we have a hard out here soon, but did you hear that the show's coming to an end?
I'm sorry, my friend. Sad news.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm okay with it.
You've made peace with it.
I've made peace with it. As you can see, it's just me, Brian, and Guapo here today.
Yeah, I mean, they're just withering
next to
away.
last show. Nobody even comes.
No, yeah.
Are people working for sponsors? You guys on the phones?
No. Nobody's trying to get us anything, bro.
Yeah, I'm talking to some GLP-1 people.
Yes.
It's looking good.
We're just out here raw dogging life,
Could you imagine? If we had just had Wegovy commercials on, like nonstop.
Wegovy. So tomorrow's our final show.
Money.
Yeah, I know. We should be getting that AG1 money. They seem to be on every fucking podcast on earth.
Oh God, that's the last day I talked to you.
I can't. The thing is like, even if they gave me a bag, I'd really have a tough time getting through the ad read because the stuff is just like unpalatable to me. It's so disgusting. It tastes like licking the underside of a lawnmower.
See, so I got to tell you, so Lynn hooked me up with a free month, and I think it's delicious. And if I got it for free or paid like maybe $5 or $10 a month, I would take it.
Yeah.
But when I saw the actual price, I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, tomorrow's the final show. I hate to cut you short today. If this is goodbye forever, I hope that people got some value out of us bringing you on.
Absolutely.
If you're around at all tomorrow between like noon and 3, I'm going to fire you a link. You're welcome to pop in, say hi to everybody one last time. Appreciate everything you've done for us.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate that you're willing to get on a platform and kind of tell it how it is. We don't have enough of that.
I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, let's converse how we can we make a bunch of overweight poker players beasts.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Berkey and Barber's Fat Camp coming to a town near you.
I'm on board, man. I want to get in there.
Yeah.
We're going to have fucking Polk down to 11% way before October. Perkins, we're coming for every dollar. God damn it. All right.
Thanks, Barber.
Thank you,
Barber. That's going to do it for us today. I hate to cut this one short as it is the penultimate episode, but we have Jay Carver on deck, and I want to make sure we give a little space for that interview. So we're going to talk to him now. You guys will be able to watch it on tomorrow's episode. Be sure to tune in. As I said, it's going to be a long one. We are going to do everything we can to even hear from some of you at home. Maybe fire out a little bit of a call-in line for everybody out there. But it's going to be a fun episode tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of special guests coming through. As I mentioned, we're going to have an interview with Jay Carver. So be sure to tune in to that noon Pacific tomorrow. We'll see you guys all then.
Peace.
Peace.